Could you please just, speak to our audience on who you are and what do you represent?
Hello, everyone. Tito Kukigam here, Senior Associate at Global Ventures. We're a technology investment firm based out of Dubai in the UAE. We invest in growth stage deals, so Series A, Series B, across MENA and Sub-Saharan Africa. And done some exciting stuff in Nigeria and looking for new things. And I'm here on the tail end of the accelerators, so I invest after accelerators. And I'll let everybody else, that's an accelerator, tell you how to get in.
Okay, Oyi, over to you.
Good evening, everyone. So I'm Oyi Sholobo. I'm the Managing Director of ARM Labs Lagos Techstars Accelerator. We are a partnership between Techstars, which is the world's most active pre-seed investor, and ARM, which is Nigeria's largest non-banking financial institution. So we invest in early-stage African startups.
Thank you, Francisca.
Hello, everyone. I'm delighted to be here. I represent Startup Wise Guys. It's an early-stage VC and accelerator from Estonia, the tech-savvy startup capital of Europe, where Skype was developed, where Bolt is coming from. Bolt, by the way, is one of our global portfolio startups. We have 400 startups in our portfolio, and out of the 400, we have 19 from Sub-Saharan Africa, and hopefully soon many more.
Dapo.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dapo. I'm a partner on the Paystack Startup Programs team. The Paystack Startup Programs team was conceived as a vehicle to sort of engage and enable startups on the continent. We do this using a flagship initiative called Paystack Catalyst, which is essentially an initiative that was conceived to solve some of the biggest problems that startups are facing on the continent. So problems that range from, funding, access to tools, advice, networking, and the likes. So whatever it is that startups are struggling with, we try to help them figure it out.
Okay, thank you very much. So I'll be asking Oyi, being that you work with ARM Techstars Lab, what sort of criteria do you look into when you're looking to scout startups?
Sure, so we look for 4 things. The first thing is team, and that's the most critical thing, because at the early stage, we appreciate that you probably have a vision, you probably have a clear idea of the problem you're trying to solve, but exactly how you solve that might change along the way. So we're looking for a really strong team with an execution bias that is also coachable. So, one of the key things about joining an accelerator is you're working with the accelerator team, the mentors, etc., really tightly. So we really want to find people that are super coachable and super engaged in taking feedback and iterating. So team is super key. Also a team that has a really good team to market fit, i.e. they can somehow demonstrate that they have relevant experience, expertise in what they're doing. After team, we look at market. So are you operating in a sizable and growing market? I.e., are you going to make money from the, from the market that you're operating in? And what the monetization strategy looks like alongside that. We also look at traction. So as we all know, we are going through a time where, VC funding is more scarce than it has been before. So it's super important for us to look for companies that already have a way of generating revenue, so that worst comes to worst, if they aren't able to get follow-on funding, they can still survive, essentially. So some kind of traction is important, and traction isn't always revenue. It can be user metrics, it can be product engagement, etc., but some form of traction is super key. And then the last thing we look at is the actual product, the actual idea itself. What are you building? How are you using technology to scale it? Is it defensible, or is it something where someone can pick up your deck and replicate it very easily? So those 4 things.
Okay, Francisca?
Thank you. We look for overlooked founders that are passionate to solve a big problem on the continent with technology. And for the upcoming cohort, we focus on B2B startups, software asset light, with a stage-wide 2 co-founders minimum in pre-seed stage, so first paying customers. Usually our threshold is below the others, so we are really early believers. And vertical side, we focus on fintech, agri-tech, climate tech. If there is a startup in the SaaS field, we can add them as well. We have a special focus on SaaS business models. We have expertise in this field. We can help the startups to explore business models to change that or to add a SaaS revenue stream. And yeah, that's it.
Okay. So Dakpo.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I will try to answer this question from the lens of someone that does not work in an accelerator, but I've worked with several startups that have gotten into an accelerator. I mean, seeing as we support startups, right? Having reviewed lots of applications and having worked with founders that have gotten into an accelerator, what we believe that accelerators look out for when they are going to accept a startup, one of the things, or the most important thing, is the founding team, right? Does the founding team, the questions you're asking is, does this founding team, do they have the technical expertise, do they have that technical capability to execute on their own without them having to hire an extra team with the capital that we are going to provide to them? Or is this team the sort of team that would still need to use their capital to go to a dev shop to hire engineers? I mean, essentially, it means that if we give this team money, they are just going to spend all of their money paying software engineers from, I mean, whatever country that they go to. So they want to know that that team has the capability to use that money to sustain themselves and focus on the product. The second thing is, and people think that pre-product startups can't get into an accelerator. It's like, no, that singular factor of the team. We've seen a very good example is Monaco. Monaco got into YC last year. Monaco is like new bank for immigrants in Europe, I believe. But they got into YC pre-product. And when we spoke, because we have webinars on how to get into YC at Paystack. When we spoke to the founder of Monaco, they said they were pre-product. But one thing that really helped them was they had a solid team. So they were able to sell the team, one. Then they were able to actually tell in their application, they were able to say what they are trying to do. They were able to demonstrate the size of the problem they are trying to solve. Very, very important. The size of the problem they are trying to solve. That's one thing that catches the eye of an investor. If it's a great problem, fancy solution, but the problem is not big enough, it won't catch their eye. So with all of that, they were able to get into YC pre-product.
Okay, and Tito, over to you. What sort of startups are you looking out for, and what sort of funding range?
I mean, so with me, it's kind of how to stay accelerated, I guess is the word. And I don't want to touch on the normal things. I'm going to say 4 things that I think are super important and maybe not said so much. I think, first of all, being on top of your numbers and understanding your business is kind of underrated. And when I look at a founder that knows exactly what's going on, even if it's wrong, it makes me, I'll say, rest assured that they'll be able to sort things out. Secondly, I think governance is underspoken, and I think people need to put things in place earlier because we're seeing things fall apart at Series A, Series B because governance wasn't put in place earlier. And I think some focus on governance should be considered at least at the start. And I think, thirdly, be personable and in the right rooms. I think networking is underrated. People fundamentally invest in people they understand, and it's just a bias that is human bias. So be personable, let people understand you for you, and always be in the right rooms, and I think you will get capital.
Okay, thank you. This question is to Oye and Francisca. In terms of localization, right, being the global accelerator programs, what sort of local approach do you use to support founders within this environment? So. I said, given you're a global accelerator operating in Canada, operating all over the world, what sort of local network or support do you provide to founders?
We have a network of mentors locally. Some of these mentors are invested in our fund, so they are double motivated to support the startups. And each time we fill up a cohort, we specifically look out what mentors we need, who else should we bring in the team. For the upcoming cohort, for the agri-tech, we have an additional pool of local agri-tech mentors that is paid by a partner. So it's all about local support plus international support plus connecting the dots.
So on our side, one of the biggest differences between a Techstars and a YC is that localization. So it's the fact that we have 54 different accelerators across the world, and we're currently, the ARM Labs Lagos Techstars Accelerator is currently the only one in Africa. And what that means is that we can combine giving our founders access to our thousands of mentors, but then we specifically curate local mentors, local investors, local ecosystem partners to actually support our founders. So what we do during the first 2 or 3 weeks of our program is we do something called Mental Magic. And for that, we curate around 100 mentors specific to the founders in our program, the vast majority of which are local, coming in, sharing their local market expertise, their local connections, helping create local distribution opportunities for them. And it's super important. And also on the investor side, being here on the ground actually means that they can meet a Tito face to face rather than having that voice conversation, show them the product, he can see it, he can feel it, and they can also build that rapport that Tito said was so important for VCs.
Okay, I think one final question will be, how can people get to apply to everyone's programs? Starting with you.
We have a page that is dedicated to, Paystack for startups. It's a form, fill the form, and you can also send an email to startups@paystack.com, or you can, I will still be here. You can reach out to me and let's connect.
Okay, Francisca.
We also have a page for our Africa program, and you can just fill it out. Our scouting team will immediately reach out, discuss all your questions. In addition, we have also a Q&A format, so if you have additional questions, you can reach out there. Then here we have Itoro, the other one with the red t-shirt, who can support you, because often I see it's about having additional questions before you decide to apply. You can also reach out to our portfolio startups and ask them about their experience, which I highly advise you to do. So not just learn from us how good it is, learn from the startups.
So applications for our next program are open. The next program starts in the middle of November here in Lagos. It's a 3-month program. Just go to techstars.com, look for the ARM Labs Lagos Techstars Accelerator and hit apply. Applications close on the 9th of August, but I strongly advise early application because the earlier you apply and get through the interviews, the more time we can spend to actually get to know you.
Our program is a 5-year program. And get into one of these startups and you might get an investment from us. Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you very much. And call this panel to an end because of time.